here. With the holiday season upon us, I wanted to go over some useful backpacking gift ideas for $50 and below. Now, why do I highlight the word useful? Well, because backpackers and hikers know how it is. They tell their friends and family, like, I'm going on a thru hike or I'm going on a section hike, and then, you know, trying to be caring and helpful, our friends and loved ones tend to get us little trinkets and things that they think might help us, right? But you know, as a backpacker, that you need only what you need because you're carrying all of that weight on your back. So I wanted to throw out some ideas. You could show this video to your loved ones if you would like, on some ideas that typically we find useful. The reason that I chose items that are $50 or less, because some of these will be pretty cheap and then some will be more towards, you know, the $50 limit. Once you get over that, the items for backpacking become very personal and very dependent on the person that's going to be using them. For example, a pack. That needs to be picked out by the person that's going to be carrying it. It needs to be fitted to them. 50 and under are typically universal items that all backpackers or hikers can appreciate. I also thought this video might be useful for backpackers to suggest to family members what to get them. So for example, my mother knows that I'm about to hike the PCT and she's just like, what can I get you for Christmas? You know, I want to get you something that'll be helpful and that you'll use. And I'm not going to tell my mom to buy me a brand new tent or, you know, any big item like that, but I can suggest to her some smaller things that I will appreciate and that, you know, I really do need. Now, while you're listening to this video, no worries, don't, you know, scurriedly write notes or anything like that. I've got a blog post that's in the show more below this video that you can click on, and it kind of goes hand in hand with this video and has links to these items that I'm going to talk about today. First up on the list of items is backpacker meals. So, of course, all backpackers and hikers love food. That is one of the things that we talk about the most while we're on trail. And while you're out there on the trail, it's hard to get things that you would normally have in town, at least some things. You know, the food that you take out there for the most part has to have some kind of shelf life to it. So you don't really splurge usually for yourself on backpacking meals. You normally end up with like rice sides, like Nor pasta and rice sides, and ramen noodles, ramen, whatever. Everyone makes fun of me for the way I say that, but ramen noodles. There are several good brands that I have tried, like Backpackers Pantry and Mountain House, and then I've heard wonderful things about Sporkables. So I suggest that, even though I haven't tried it, because I've heard wonderful reviews on them. Next on the list, I suggest Darn Tough socks. So that's the brand, Darn Tough. They're made in Vermont. Ugh, might not watch these. They come in like ankle size or like mid-ankle length or the real tall ones, different thicknesses and all that. But as far as backpacking and hiker enthusiasts are concerned, you can't have too many wool socks. And actually, after hiking the Appalachian Trail, I threw out most of my white socks. I just like wool socks better. One item that backpackers hate to buy, but most of them use, is fuel. Either fuel cans if they're using like the MSR Pocket Rocket or JetBull, or potentially denatured alcohol if they're using alcohol stoves. So on this one, you've got to kind of know what your backpacker has as far as a stove is concerned, and then buy them fuel. And that's just so wonderful to not have to buy your own fuel. Can you guess what's next on my list? Yes, a headlamp. So every backpacker, hiker, really anybody who loves outdoors probably has a headlamp and, you know, would appreciate a new one, upgraded one. So for hiking and backpacking, really the features that you want to make sure you have: water resistant or waterproof to an extent. You'll want to make sure that the headlamp has a red beam. That way you're not blinding people when you approach them at a shelter, or if you're reading in a shelter and there are others around you, know that the light is not distracting. And also, you want to make sure that it is bright. So you don't want a real dim headlight lamp or anything like that. Typically a good brand, a safe brand to go with, is Black Diamond. I had a Coast brand before this and it was fine, it just wasn't real bright. So how do you know if it's bright enough? Well, there's really no gauge of like this many lumens at a minimum. It's just the brighter the better. Next up is a collapsible solar light. So while on the Appalachian Trail, a solar panel charger for cell phones and stuff would not have worked out. These small Lucy lights is what they're called. You get enough sunlight even on the Appalachian Trail where you've got the green tunnel to charge the Lucy light, and you can hang it up in your tent or use it, you know, while you're cooking dinner and things like that to save battery juice from your headlamp. And I saw a lot of people use them. I didn't have one, but they're very, very lightweight, and it's something that I would definitely consider in the future. I think backpackers who use their phone a good bit, or blog, or listen to music, or anything like that could agree that they enjoy having a portable battery charger. So the most popular brand I saw on the Appalachian Trail was the Anchor charger. This one's a Sound Logic. It really just depends, you know, it's kind of a balance of weight and, you know, how much of a charge you can get off of them. You don't want you know, them to have a pound battery charger. I mean, sure, they'll never have to worry about anything going dead, but they don't want to lug that around. This particular charger is 5200 milliamp hours, and I got about 2.5 full charges on it with my iPhone 6, so, and I use my iPhone pretty regularly. Another electronic item that, depending on the person, they might enjoy would be a portable speaker. So I never personally had one, but a lot of the folks that I hiked with did. And I know y'all can tell me that, you know, you shouldn't be listening to music out in nature, but it just depends on the person. That's where Hike Your Own Hike comes in. Of course, your hike shouldn't interfere with the hike of others, so I'm not saying you should blare music on a speaker, you know, walking through camp or anything like that. But especially if you're alone in bear country, it's comforting to have something like that, because I sang out loud a lot. And several of us that were hiking together in a group enjoyed listening to music together or podcasts, and we were respectful of other hikers around us and would turn it off if we came upon some other people. So, but that is something that people might find useful and, you know, really enjoy. Next, I recommend a small journal. So this is something that is really cheap but thoughtful. So if somebody you know is going on a section hike or a thru hike, a lot of times we like to keep memories jotted down, or if we have certain thoughts or things like that. So just even a little bitty journal, and on the inside on the first page you could write, you know, a note, a thoughtful note, or a quote, you know, an inspirational quote, something like that. And it's a thoughtful, simple, cheap gift. Next up is a buff. A buff is pretty much a tubular strip of material that's kind of elasticy like, and it goes, you know, around your head like a bandana, kind of to keep your hair out of your face, or around your neck to keep your neck warm, or you can pull it up to keep your face warm if it's cold, or keep dust, you know, keep from breathing dust. And so it's pretty versatile and useful, and a lot of hikers wear it. So if you're not sure that the person you're buying a gift for would enjoy a buff, then something that they could use like a buff but also has so many uses and is cheaper would be a bandana. So they can use them to blow their nose, to bathe with, to clean their cook pot out with, to dry water out of their tent if it rains. I mean, the possibilities are just endless. And then again, they can use it like a buff for their hair or to keep their neck warm. So, and you could personalize it. So if the person that you're buying it for likes Batman, you know, you could buy a Batman bandana, and it makes it more thoughtful, and it's a really useful and cheap gift. One of my favorite pieces of gear that I had on the Appalachian Trail was my titanium sport. There are many brands of these, but the biggest thing is they're super light, very durable, and you know, if you get plastic sports, they're gonna break, and you're gonna be, you know, like drinking your dinner instead of eating it. So this is pretty awesome, pretty inexpensive, and very lightweight. Another item that is very inexpensive but useful is hand sanitizer. And what I liked about this one is that it attached to my pack, so I could access it pretty much any-time and get some hand sanitizer. And I replaced the bottle of sanitizer several times during my thru hike, but still kept this little rubbery deal to attach to my pack. Next up, small carabiners. So you see this guy right here is little bitty, you know, smaller than my thumb, and then this one's a little bit bigger. You don't want to get anything that's real like heavy and bulky, but these little bitty ones I used to hang my camp shoes on the back of my pack, so they could be found helpful, and if they weren't needed, you might use them for something else, a keychain or whatever. So pretty cheap and still thoughtful. Next on the list is dry sacks. So I personally didn't use many dry sacks. I had like one for my food bag, but they make a lot of different sizes and things like that for you to store electronics in, or just anything that you don't want getting wet. I just use Ziploc bags. So, but I think I'm in the minority on that. I think a lot of backpackers actually appreciate dry sacks. Next up is water treatment. So you can get Aquamira drops for low cost, and then Sawyer Mini and the regular Sawyer filters for less than $50. They would be found useful, but I would know your hiker slash backpacker's preference on water treatment, because folks usually have a strong preference, you know, whether it's going to be chemical treatment or filtration, etc. But those would be good gifts. If you're buying for somebody who is looking at hiking either sections or through hiking the Appalachian Trail, then the AT guidebook comes highly recommended. I loved that book. It was very useful and user-friendly, and that's the one that I would recommend to anybody that's planning on hiking along the Appalachian Trail. And last but not least, you can give my ebook as a gift to somebody who's planning on either section or through hiking the Appalachian Trail. It's called Take a Thru Hike, and it just covers all of the basics in preparing for a thru hike, but would still be helpful for somebody planning a section hike. If you just go on to Amazon, and again, the link will be available in my blog post, but you'll see the option of give as a gift, and all you have to have is the person's email address. All right, y'all, well, that's all I have for you today. I hope some of that was helpful, or at least got your mind stimulated into thinking of some good gift ideas for hikers and backpackers. And if y'all have any suggestions, feel free to comment below. And it is starting to rain, so I'm gonna go inside, but we will see y'all next time. Okay, so I am here at Amicalola State Park, and there's this nice little compartment overhead, so that's the opening, where you can put like a headlamp